Hey guys, it's Jacob with the Chero here. What are we doing today? I have my 97 Chevy here, C1500, 6-liter swap, 4L80, pretty good combo, works pretty well, and we're gonna mess with it. Well, not with the motor, but with the truck itself. So, this is just a video to tell you my plan of body dropping this thing. And, if you don't know what that is, that's basically leaving your suspension but dropping the body on the frame, which makes the whole truck look lower. You're not changing the frame to the ground, you're changing your body to the frame, which makes the whole thing look lower and makes it more drivable. So, this thing already has a 4-inch drop in the front with 2-inch drop spindles and 2-inch drop springs. And then in the rear, it has a flip kit from DMV. The front stuff is also from DMV. So the flip kit takes, so here's your rear end, here's your leaf spring. That's how it is factory. We flip it. So the spring stays in the same spot, but your wheels move up 6 inches in this case, which makes it pretty low. And you still have your stock spring rate, you just need to get different shocks due to the height difference. But, so it's definitely drivable the way it is now. Like, it doesn't scrape on everything, which is insane. I've never had a car do that before. But it doesn't scrape, it's drivable, corner's okay for a truck. And that's why I want to do the body drop. Because instead of lowering the suspension 2 more inches and dealing with ground clearance, like frame clearance, that front splitter I have, like all these different aspects of lowering the frame to the body, I'm not going to have to deal with by lowering the body on the frame. So seems like a win-win for me because it drives great now, it doesn't scrape, and then it'll be 2 to 3 inches lower and still not scrape and look killer. So that's what a body drop is, essentially. Now, how we go about doing that is taking all your cab mounts, or you leave the cab mounts, but the floor that mounts to those you actually raise in the cab. So you cut out the floor of the cab, raise it up 3 inches, weld it all in place again, and then since your floor is up 3 inches, when you drop it back on the frame, the rockers, all the bottom, the whole cab essentially sits 3 inches lower because the floor is mounted 3 inches higher. It's kind of counterintuitive, but same thing with the box. Actually, you cut out the box, raise it up 3 inches, and look killer. The front end, the rad support, you chop off where it bolts to the rad support, a couple inches behind it. Move them, those horns they're called. Move them down 2 inches, and then there's your mounts for the rad support, which the fenders bolt to, and your inner tubs bolt to your fenders. So it all sets that level, sets the front end level, without lowering the whole frame. Just those 2 mounts. So overall, it sounds pretty. I wouldn't call it easy, but it's a lot of work. But at the end of the day, it's pretty much free, which is kind of nice. And I don't feel like I'm giving up much. Like, my cab is going to be a bit cut up, and like my pedal room is going to be shorter. The seats are going to sit higher, and a couple little things that go along with that. I'll have less box room, but overall, I think it's kind of a win-win deal in my situation. Like, we have a welder, we can do all that here. It's just a matter of actually getting at it and starting that process, which I'm going to start soon. Now that you have a general idea of what a body drop is, let me show you how and what it'll semi-look like on the truck. So, here's the truck in its current form. I did some measurements yesterday, and the frame is 9 inches off the ground, and the bottom of the rocker is 2 to 3 inches above the frame. So, all said and done, in theory, the bottom of the rocker is about 9 inches off the ground. About. Which is pretty low. So take that and lower it 3 inches. Like, that's a lot of tuck in the wheels. And hopefully it drives the same. Like, this is supposed to be my daily driver, so I still kind of want it to drive decent. So that's my reason for going the 3-inch body drop versus the 3-inch suspension. That's my reasoning, and that's why I'm choosing it to do it this way, even though it's a lot more work. But so the box, I guess I'll just show you what I'm going to do. So I'm going to cut all around the edges, and then since I'm doing actually a bit of rear suspension, rear box reworking. So see these wheel tubs? I'm actually going to cut it on both ends and extend them to probably around there or maybe there, just so I can fit a wider tire, because, you know, wider tires are cool. The man tires. And then at the same time while I do that, I'm going to raise those wheel tubs up 3 inches, and at the same time do all the floor. So that's the box. The box seems pretty straightforward, actually, from what I've read and from what I've looked into and what I see. And the cab itself is actually pretty easy too. You cut all around the edges and essentially move it up 3 inches. Like, you don't have to mess with trans tunnel when you do the whole floor. And I'm a short enough guy where my head isn't even close to the headliner, so I don't have any issues clearing there. And while it does move the seats up more, I think it'll look okay because they're pretty low in their hole already. Like, I'm not going to lower the seat too. And like, I've sat in the truck with the seat 2 inches higher, and it feels just like a normal truck. Like, I don't think I'm really going to notice that 2 inch or 3 inches out of the floor space, out of the headroom. And looked at e-brake. My pedal, since the floor is coming up, it might interfere. In most cases, it'll interfere with that e-brake pedal, but there's enough gap at the bottom of the floor where it's not going to touch in this case. And I can shorten the brake pedal too. The gas pedal, it looks pretty easy to shorten just from looking at it now. I have a couple spares actually, so I'm not concerned in that aspect. So once the pedals and the seats are dealt with, it's pretty much just raising up the floor. And I guess I'd have to deal with where it meets the rocker too. But nothing too hard. It all sounds pretty straightforward, from what I've read and kind of how I envision it. So, but it's just a lot of, sorry, just popping the hood. It's a lot of fab work, and it's a lot of fabrication, but I think the end result is going to be pretty freaking cool. So, trying to see if you can, let the camera adjust, how that frame dips down there. I'm essentially going to be cutting the frame off past the steering box, cutting a line through, and then dropping the front half down 3 inches. So then it drops this whole rad support. Because you can see with that frame dropped and the rad support dropped with the body, those fenders will bolt right up. So that's the way you do it. Also, should take like, an hour to do. So overall, the body drop seems like the way to go, and it seems pretty straightforward. And you guys will see it here on the channel. I think that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you again soon.